Location, location, location. It's always been an important part in choosing a good place to live, but in the past it was critical to your survival. I'm stood at the base of the cliffs at Markland Grips in Derbyshire, near the town of Clown and the village of Creswell, and up there was once one of the best locations to live in 2,000 years ago. But south of here was a rapidly approaching group of people that were going to change the course of history here and across Britain forever. I joined historians, archaeologists, environmentalists, local landowners and other interested parties on a tour with our fantastic host to find out what happened here many years ago.
My name is Dr Simon Elliott. I'm an archaeologist, historian and broadcaster. Today we've been examining a Roman landscape in Creswell, which comes from three phases of the Roman occupation of Britain. So there's a Roman conquest phase for a couple of weeks in the late AD 40s, then a couple of decades of a frontier phase, and finally a provincial phase when the Romans are here for 300 years. And specifically this morning, we're looking at that first couple of weeks in the conquest phase when the 9th Legion comes through on its way from Leicester, founded by the 9th Legion, to Lincoln, founded by the 9th Legion, and gets here and hits a speed bump.
And what's that speed bump?
The speed bump is Markland Grips, which is a well-known late Iron Age hill fort. So it's a local tribal centre, which I think was the Iron Age equivalent of a city. Absolutely huge, grand scale settlement. Markland Grips is naturally very defendable because it's formed from collapsed limestone caves, and you have two collapsed limestone caves which open out and create a natural promontory in the middle, which has got the cliffs from the collapsed limestone caves either side, so it's almost unattackable, and the only area you can approach it is on the area where it meets the local farmland, and that's got a triple ditch and bank there to close it off. So it's a very defendable place.
We walked around the Markland Grips and the fortifications, then where did we go after that?
After that we went onto the site of a newly found Roman marching camp. So when the Romans are besieging this tribal settlement, they build a couple of marching camps which are temporary fortifications, so they're like forts basically, and one of them is right behind me actually on the horizon there. And so where we went was to look at that newly found Roman marching camp, and then these key new pieces of technology the Romans bring with them when they come here, two ballista platforms. So a ballista basically is a very big catapult, and to make sure they're safe the Romans built a small fort around it, and so we found a new marching camp and a couple of these small forts which would have had the ballistas in, which would have fired ballista balls into Markland Grips. Before the Romans came, I think Markland Grips was impregnable. So it's almost like Colditz. It's that scale of invincibility. But the Romans come with new technology, in this case sort of field artillery, and there's nothing that the native Britons could do about it. They've never seen it before, it's brand new, nothing they do in terms of defence can defend against it. So I think actually if you have a battle of Creswell, it's very short-lived. So I think the Romans spend maybe half a day firing ballista balls into the camp, and then the locals give up.
Tell us a bit about some of the finds you've had here.
We found Roman surveying equipment, but we've also found artifacts which are from later in the Roman period when it's part of the province. So things that people have worn on the day-to-day life, like brooches, a ring, that kind of thing. And we also found coins as well, which give us dating evidence. So there's everything you would expect from a Roman presence anywhere in the Roman Empire, but additionally here we have the military equipment from the initial 2 or 3 weeks they were here as part of the conquest period in the AD 40s, and finding a Roman armour in any way, shape or form is astonishing, and we found Roman armour here.
Simon's been very kind to show us some of the finds they've already had. Did you have a particular favourite?
I do. I like the little Minervan owl, which I think is rather sweet, so that's definitely a favourite. But again, interesting hearing about the clasps and the fastenings for the armour as well, being important to telling that sort of story. That's a kind of nailing on of the evidence, if you like, of a military Roman presence here in this landscape.
Where's the best place for people to keep up to date with what you're doing here?
I do a lot of television work, so you can just search Dr Simon Elliott, and I'm the first hit you'll find on Google actually, and from that you can find my own website, and you can find the various TV shows, and also if you go onto Amazon you can find my 21 books I've written about the Roman world as well, including 2 new ones coming out this year: Agricola in Scotland, about the Flavian campaigns in Scotland, which is out in July, and then the African Emperor, which is my full biography of the great Septimius Severus, the African Emperor, out in September.